everyone and welcome to a reading wrap up. I can't quite say weekly, I'm slowly sort of building them back up, but we're not quite back at weekly, it would seem. But I've got two books to talk to you about this week and I absolutely adored them both. So the first book I want to talk to you about today is The Fourth Monkey by J.D. Barker. And I received this book from the publisher via NetGalley in return for an honest review, and I gave this book 4 stars. This is an adult psychological thriller that will really send you on quite a sort of journey, because you get present time where the detectives are investigating this serial killer called the Four Monkey Killer. But then you've also got the diary entries of the killer from when he was a child, and they are pretty messed up. And to begin with, I wasn't all that engrossed in the diary entries, but as things moved further along, I got more and more hooked to the diary entries, and I was at the point where I was equally invested in both the current time story and also the diary entries. This book sends you on twists and turns everywhere, and I thought it was really well written. It was suspenseful, it was fast paced, and I really enjoyed it. So as I said, I gave this 4 stars. I'm not going to go into this one any more than that because I have got a full spoiler free review coming for this book soon. So the second book I want to talk to you about is Follow Me Back by A.V. Gager. And I received this book from the publisher via NetGalley in return for an honest review, and I gave this one 5 stars. And oh wow. Again, I don't want to go into this one too much because I am planning on uploading a full spoiler-free book review for this one too. But this nearly made it to my #1 most favourite books of this year so far. It just blew my mind. It was everything I wanted and more. I was after something fast-paced, got that. I read this book in about 4 hours total. I was after something that would just hook me in and have me fully invested, and oh was I invested in this book. I just didn't know what to do with myself when I finished it. I had that proper, oh no, I've finished this book, what am I going to do with my life now kind of feeling, where you feel like you were in the book and now your life is over kind of experience. It's so bizarre when that happens, but I love it, and that just makes a book a 5-star read for me. So this is a YA contemporary thriller novel about a young girl who suffers from agoraphobia. This is because of something that has happened before the book takes place, and you get little snippets of this as the story moves on, so I'm not going to go into that too much, but there is a reason why she has developed this phobia. She spends a lot of her time only talking to her mum, her boyfriend, and her therapist. And she's also a little bit active on Twitter, and she's recently somehow managed to get a story about a pop star viral, some fan fiction viral, and so you get her perspective as she sort of explains how much she enjoys her little crush on this pop star named Eric Thorne. You also get a second perspective of Eric Thorne and what it's like to be him in the music industry, and how he sort of feels taken advantage of by his managers. And it's a really interesting perspective. You can see the war of them even wanting to take over his Twitter and influence what he does on Twitter. So in the end, he decides to make a second Twitter account, all secret, where he can basically just do what he wants. And he's decided he is going to send a really nasty message to the person who has made this hashtag of his really popular and in the public eye. And that, of course, is our first person who I'd already mentioned, who I don't think I told you her name, but Tessa. So that was Tessa, and so he messages her pretending to be someone else and sends her a really nasty message. And from there, they start talking to each other, and the story develops from there, and it's just so fascinating, so fast-paced, so gripping. And obviously this is spoiler-free, but that ending, I basically finished this book and then tweeted the author going, I'm meant to wait for the sequel to that, which isn't going to be out until next year. Like, what am I meant to do with myself? So yeah, highly, highly, highly recommend this book, and watch out for my full spoiler-free review coming for this later on this week. So that's all I've finished. My current audiobook is still the same as the last time I did this video, which is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. So I'm still at 63% on that one. I don't think I've really listened to it at all actually recently, so I need to get cracking on with that. I've also been trying to make progress with Lord of Shadows, but I've not really been in the mood to read a physical book, and as I'm reading that in physical book, it's just sort of been sat waiting because I've just been enjoying the Kindle books, as you've seen in this wrap up. My current Kindle book is The Honeymoon by Tina Seskis, and I am a quarter of the way through that and I'm absolutely loving it. It's another psychological thriller. You can see the sort of mood I'm in right now, can't you? It's another psychological thriller, and again it's from multiple timelines, and I'm just having so much fun with it, and I'm hoping to finish that in the next day or two because I just can't put it down. And so that is everything that I've currently actively got on the go reading, and I'm loving books so much right now. It's such a happy place to be. With that said, I'm really sad that I'm still never really prioritising my own Kindle books, and so I'm going to go back to, as you have seen in the thumbnail, doing my TBR bucket. And I'm just going to pick a book out every single week, regardless of whether I've actually read any of the others that I've picked out in the past or not. They will sit on my Kindle and I will just read them if I'm in the mood. And I'm hoping this way I can just somehow get myself to start reading some of my own books in between these review books too. I don't know how it's going to work, but yeah, I'm going to pick one out each week. So let's pick my first one out in probably over a year. Get tick down. Okay, I've got one, which is quite a challenge, and so I dread to think how many are in there, to be honest. So this is the sequel to a book that I read quite some time ago, and that book was called Against All Odds. So this is a sequel to a book that I gave 5 stars to quite some years back now, called Against All Odds. And that was a memoir of a guy named Paul. Had basically learned that from his awful, rough childhood growing up experience of living in a dormitory in a kids' home, he was one of only 2 that were still alive out of 10 kids. And so you learn about his experience as a child and him growing up, and just like a really honest account of his life so far. And I'm assuming that the book that I've therefore pulled out here, which is Beating the Odds by Paul Connolly, that this is just going to be a continuation on from that. This doesn't have many ratings on Goodreads. It's only got 6 ratings, but its average is of just over 4 stars. So it'll be nice to give this book a little bit of sort of exposure boost, I guess, because I did really enjoy the first one. How well did the first one do in the end? The first book got 922 ratings, so still quite an unknown gem. If you are looking for some sort of different sort of memoir, I highly recommend the first book. As I said, it's Against All Odds by Paul Connolly, and I will let you know how I get on with this second one, which actually, this will be a really tempting one to actually pull out and give a read. So yay for the TBR bucket, pulling something out that I might actually get done within this week. And it's only 288 pages, so it'll be a really fast read. The first one was a fast read too. I'm excited for this. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me just there if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me. And I will see you tomorrow with a book review. Bye bye!